Hi everybody, Natasha Koch here with the Van City Home Team, and here we are live again from my car. Seems to be my office lately, so I might want to invest in another car at some point so I have a little more space because I'm running out in this one. So I'm actually headed right now to do something new for my client who just took possession of, hey you, nice to have you on my live. I'm headed actually to host a welcome home party for my client who's just taking possession of his condo today. So it's the first time I've done this, and so I've got wine and cheese and cake and all kinds of stuff in the back of my car, so I'm headed there next to unload. So I wanted to do a little live for you guys before I do. Last week was a bit of a write-off. I wasn't feeling well, still not 100%. But after the 10 minutes I spent sitting in here fixing my face, I think I can go ahead. So today we're going to talk about buying a house when you're 22 or 21 or 20, but really I just like I like the number 22. 21 was when I actually was legal for everything, and everybody else is too. And so you really don't want to be thinking about buying a house, but after you've had your year of freedom for doing everything, you might as well start thinking a little more seriously. So hi Celia, hi Alina, hi Kimber, hi Grandpa, how are you? Thanks for joining. So let's talk about buying a house when you're 22. Why should you buy a house when you're 22 or at a young age? Well, buying a house is an investment. So why wouldn't you want to start? I mean, if anybody's read any books, you know, they say that if you start saving money at an early age, then you have a better chance of retirement early. So I'm actually going to start working a lot with millennials because I think that it's really important to give them education on how to invest. And the thing I know best is obviously real estate. So let's start with them because they are absolutely the future. And I think that a lot of young people nowadays are discouraged that they can't get into the market. They don't know how to buy their first home. And so let me tell you a few tips on how you can do it if you're watching. Although I probably should be on Instagram because it seems like everybody in their 20s is on Instagram and not on Facebook. So anybody out there that's watching that has young kids, share the information with them. Okay, so why is home ownership important? Well, there's a few things actually. You're going to be building equity in a home. So when you buy your first home, you're going to start building equity at the same time as paying your monthly payments. So basically what that means is that the property is going to increase in value as you pay it down with your monthly payments, and just based on inflation. So every year, you know, the property values go up, sometimes faster than others. Hey, Bria. Hey, Andrew. And so great way to start investing. Number 2, financial responsibility. I mean, 22 years old, taking on a financial responsibility like that actually matures you quite a bit. And, you know, you have a feeling of pride in home ownership that it's something that you're creating. So why not start when you're young, and then you can put your spin on it at a very early age. So building a portfolio, I mean, part of a financial portfolio is real estate, or at least it should be. So getting into home ownership, and not necessarily one that you need to live in. You don't always have to live in it, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So how much of a house can you actually afford? This is kind of a big question that a lot of people should probably know, not just millennials, but hi Bill, thanks for joining. General rule of thumb is about 2.5 times your income. So for all you millennials out there that are in school right now and thinking that you would like to buy a house, make sure that you stay in school and get the best education possible, because it's pretty competitive nowadays out there to make a decent income. And if anybody's from the Greater Vancouver area, you will know that if you calculate 2.5 times your annual income, that doesn't buy you a lot of house if your income is $40,000 or $50,000. So now don't let that discourage you. If you do end up, you know, being in a situation where you're making, you know, 50,000, that doesn't mean you can't buy a house. Maybe it's just not in the area that you would want. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you can buy. So you're not going to, I mean, reality is you're not going to buy the house that your parents own. first off, maybe down the road, and that's why the first step is so important. So look at something that you can afford. Now, if you can't afford to buy in your area, then start looking at areas that you can afford, and maybe you will rent it out. You don't have to live in the house. It's still an investment. And if you buy in another, and you do your homework in another area, even in another province or state, if you're from the US, you can buy that house and rent it out and still build equity and cover your payments every month. And at a later date, you may be able to sell it and then buy something that you really want. I often tell clients, even now, buy in an area that you can afford and then rent in the area that you want to live in, because you don't absolutely have to live in the house that you buy. Hi, Karen. How are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Okay, so next step is to review your income. So I know that one of the drawbacks when you're young is that you don't want to take a lot of responsibility and you don't know where you're going to want to live or be. So let's say you're buying a house because you want to live in it. Make sure you do want to live in it for a chunk of time, at least 3 to 5 years, because if anyone followed my lives in the past, you'll know that when you take out a mortgage, you really don't start paying off the principal until about 5 years. So that's a big commitment for a young person, because obviously when you're renting, you sign a year lease maybe at the most. So a lot of people don't know what's even happening 6 months from now for them. So make sure that you're going to make the commitment, or at least that you can rent it out and hang on to the house for a while. So some of the factors for your financial situation: how long you've been employed. So if you're just freshly out of school, you're going to have to talk to a mortgage broker. They generally take about 2 years worth of income. So get out of school, start working, and start saving your down payment. So let's talk about down payment. Down payment rule of thumb, a lot of people think that it's 5%. 5% is really the minimum of what your down payment should be. 20% bypasses any CMHC insurance. And so that's to insure any default of the mortgage. So really, you should bank on 20%. So start saving, start doing that 2-year plan of showing your income and saving for your down payment. Hi, Justina, and hi, Alan. Now, keep in mind that not only should you consider the cost of the house, but you should also consider your down payment and your closing costs. So closing costs is when the home transfers, there's legal fees that are attached, and I usually say, rule of thumb, to have an extra savings of about 2%. So make sure you have that extra 2%. And, do your homework. Do your homework on what's happening in the real estate market. You guys are freshly out of school. You're 22 years old, or maybe still in school. So doing homework should not be difficult for you, and doing research should not be difficult for you. So do your research. This is just like anything else. If you want to succeed at it, you have to make sure that you check out everything. I would love to work with young people to see if I can't get them to retirement by the time they're 40. There's so many things that I would have done at a younger age differently now. And so if I can give back a little bit of that to some of the young people out there, I'm definitely going to give it my best shot. Okay, so let's talk about some pros and cons here. We've talked about how much you could afford in a house, not more than 2.5 times your income. Don't go after a house that your parents have right away, because you're going to get in way over your head. Mortgages, we talked about that. So 2 years worth of income generally to qualify for a mortgage, and try to save 20% down for a down payment. So there's a lot of different kinds of mortgages. I won't get into too many details on that, but keep in mind that you probably want to get into at least a 5-year locked-in mortgage, because as I said earlier, that you won't be paying any of your principal until that 5 years is up anyway. So you will want to definitely do that. And, reach out to your parents, talk to them about what you want to do. I've got 2 boys that are in their 20s, and I know how hard it is and how discouraging it is to think that, maybe you can't break into the real estate market, but you absolutely can. There's other options. Do, a group purchase with some friends, buy an investment together. Or if you're not friends, just, form a group of an investors group where you can go in and do some group buying together if the real estate market is not conducive to your income. So anyway, for all you millennial buyers, you can do it. If you've ever heard of the book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's a fantastic book. Pick it up and read it. It's sort of your guide to financial freedom. And, more kids nowadays, I think, should be taught right from school how to invest their money, save their money, and start thinking about their future early so that maybe they can retire a little earlier than I'm going to retire. So anyway, thanks for joining me on today's live. Thursday, I'm actually going to be in a course, so I'm probably going to do a little extra live tomorrow instead of Thursday because I'm assisting a personal growth course. So I'm assisting a personal growth course for the weekend, and so I won't be available by computer or phone. And so I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new live. Anyway, thanks for joining, and I hope that you found it a little bit informative or a lot, and share it with your kids. And if you have any questions on step-by-step process of how to buy a home or how to buy your first home, please reach out. Okay, bye everybody. Having a great night. See you later.